Well, I am installing headlights on the front of my Ford 8N tractor, and I am also going to install a floodlight on the back that has a switch on it. So I bought these online through Amazon, and it's called a Fox light. Mini Big Boss Fox light. And so far they have fit. I haven't seen any videos on YouTube on how to install these lights, so I thought I would show you how I'm going to do it. The first thing I did was strip off 2 pieces of wire so I could test the lights to make sure I'm going to hook them up right before I start. So this floodlight is an Atlantic Quality Parts light for an 8N, it looks like. And this is what came. It has an on-off switch. I've labeled it already. And it comes with 1 wire. So that's your positive. The negative is you have to ground a wire to this housing and then to your ground on your tractor. So I've already tested that. I set this up, opened this compartment, and then just touched a wire to the negative, to the housing on the light, and then I found a positive wire that comes off of the battery. It connects to whatever this is, and then that went to a terminal block by the tractor that I'll show you in a second. So I knew that that was the positive, so I touched my other wire to that, and then to the tip of this wire, and the light turned on. So I knew how to hook up that, and I did the same thing with the headlights. Now the headlights, there was a small hole in the front of the tractor that had a little grommet in there. I popped that out, and these were a bit of a pain to put in. The shaft is like independent, so it was moving back and forth, so it actually took my wife to hold this. I had to drill this hole out a little bit to accept the shaft that is inside of this housing right there. Once I got that in, there was a lock nut washer and a nut that went on the back side and tightened down. These headlights came with a wiring harness with 3 colors on it, and I assumed that the white, I don't know what the white does, but I assumed I wouldn't need it. And once I did what I did with the other floodlight, I touched this to the ground on the battery and this to the positive, and the light turned on. So now I have that done. I know how to hook it up. So now I'm just gonna neatly run wires, 2 wires from here up underneath, zip tying them to a cable. Cables that run up under here, you can kind of see these right here. I'm just gonna zip tie them to there, all the way underneath the lip to this terminal block. Let's see if you can see this. There's a terminal block right here, that terminal block. And I know that bottom screw is positive. That is where my positive will go from both lights. I'm going to run a separate wire to each light for the positive and for the ground. So altogether I will have 4 wires. Now I could split them up in front of the tractor and like wire nut them or whatever, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to bring both wires to that terminal block for the positive and for the negative. Now the ground is tied in right here to the tractor, so I will probably use that for my ground too. Undo this bolt and tie in both grounds to that. That way if I have a problem I can check it right here and I don't have to screw around with up in here, because it's very difficult to get your hands inside here. So that's how I'm going to hook up these headlights. And the positive, now both positive wires will have to go to a switch. So I will run a wire from that terminal block positive, which is that red one right there. This screw right here to one screw on my switch. Here's the switch I bought. It's a push in, pull out type that I've also found on Amazon. And then my other two wires that go to the positive on both lights will run off of the other terminal on this switch. And this switch will hopefully fit in that hole. So I can pull it out. I'm guessing is going to turn it on. Pushing it back in will turn it off. Both lights just came silver. They weren't painted. So once I test this out, see if it works, I can loosen this up. I can paint the whole housing except for the part that touches the tractor. Let it dry. Then just unscrew the bolt on the backside, the nut on the backside. Let it hang out. Touch up the paint and let this light hang until that's dry, and then attach it to the back to the tractor. Now the floodlight, I know it does come with a bracket. It does come with a bracket that I believe bolts onto this. It comes up or out from the tractor, goes up, and you can put a red light on there, which I believe is just a brake light. I'm not quite sure. And then this floodlight. Well, I don't need the red light, I just want this floodlight. And what I think I might do is actually see if this shaft will fit on that bolt. If I take that bolt out, because that would be a good spot for the light right there. So I might rig up my own design there. We'll see what happens if this works or not, but this bracket is bent in. Well, I don't want that resting on my tractor. So I could bend these out so then it's flat against the fender. And then what I think I'll do is take a little piece of rubber, cut it just a little bit larger than this, and then put that between it as like a grommet that will tighten it up against the fender, and then it won't scratch it. So that's my plan, but I don't know if this will fit through that hole on the fender or not, or be long enough to still tighten down and sandwich everything together, but we'll see. So this is tough for me because I'm an electrician, but I'm using the green as the positive because I brought some wire from home, but it's 12 gauge and it was a little too heavy, and I want to use these crimp connectors. So anyway, in DC you use black as the ground, in AC you use black as the hot, and in AC you use green as the ground. And I should be using red as the positive, but I don't have red. I actually took these wires out of our junk trailer that the last owners were nice enough to leave for us. I ripped these wires out, and they were good for the crimp connectors. I don't know what gauge it is exactly. Probably 22 gauge or something. But anyway, I got enough wire to wire all these lights, hopefully. So these wires are barely long enough to work with. But anyway, they come with all these little crimp connectors. So I can just plug those in. Okay, that one doesn't want to plug in too easy. And then what I'll do is tape these up individually with some electric tape. and then I can route these wires to where I need to and zip tie them on the way. Okay, so I have my connections all made. I taped each connection up individually and then wrapped all of them together. And the same thing with the other side. And I've routed these wires from the other side over to here because this side has cabling running down the inside edge here, which I can zip tie to. So where these all come together, I'm going to put a zip tie here and then make that taut so it doesn't catch anything, like that. And then run all 4 of them down the edge of the tractor to here. All right, we're all done. You can see my, let's see, this with the yellow terminal, that's a little jumper off of power to one part of the switch. You can see the switch back there. And then these green wires are the positive, and both of those are routed to the positive on both of the headlights. And then the ground from those headlights drops down. Those are these 2 black wires, and they get attached to this screw, which actually grounds the battery to the frame of the tractor. Get the switch in, and you just pull it. To turn on, and push it to turn off. All right, we'll have to see what it looks like in the dark, see how bright these are.